Welcome back to We Connect. We have this pleasure, this very rare opportunity of talking surely with one of our country's greatest hockey players. So, what about the style of hockey? Now, Asian hockey over the years was always known for its grace and its elegance. What do you think about the fast-paced kind of games that we're seeing nowadays?
Well, it's because of the two surfaces, Grass is something where a ball can go over your stick, or your stick goes under the ball, where you could do a lot of tricks which you cannot do on AstroTurf. AstroTurf is like a billiard table. If you try to put your stick under the ball, it rolls. So here, when it was first played, it was so defense oriented that these new rules have come and no offside, no this thing, no there's no obstruction, nothing, so that more goals could be scored for the entertainment of the public. See.
But for the purist, for the person who really enjoys watching, very good stick work and the grace that was associated with hockey. I mean, do you not think it's a bit of a come down, if that's the right word?
That's a fact. What you could do on grass, you could never do on this. And it was a pleasure to see some experts play hockey on lawn. Beautiful players. But unfortunately, on AstroTurf, it cannot be done. As you see, they made the crook of the stick a little more crooker, so that the ball cannot go underneath. So they're equally strong on both sides. It becomes like a concrete wall.
Right.
So unless you bring tactics and strategies to absolute perfection, one of course is short corner, which is now the criteria of the game, but tactics and strategies have to be brought to perfection and used at a certain time only if you want goals to be scored.
Right. If I asked you, Leslie, Claudius, if you would like to go back right now, get out onto that field and actually play this fast-paced game, do you think you would like to do that?
Well, AstroTurf, is no doubt about it. AstroTurf is now picking up fast because they took some time to get used to it. But now AstroTurf hockey is of a very high standard. There's no doubt about it. The Europeans play some brilliant hockey. There's no doubt about it. Just equally good as it was in grass. Because then you see the lawns were with us and they did not have any grass to play with.
Right. Don't you think it's a bit of a shame that the European nations have really overtaken all the top hockey playing countries? India, Pakistan, Southeast Asia. It was the prerogative of the Asian region that excelled in hockey for so many years. What do you think about that?
Well, you see, this AstroTurf came into being, you see.
Yeah.
Then the Europeans had the money, they had everything, and they had all AstroTurf built throughout Europe. In the good old days, you see, they did not have those grounds. It was a winter sport. The grounds were not suitable to play because there were other predominant games like cricket, tennis, golf and various things that took priority.
Yeah.
So they played in winter where there was ice and things like that. They didn't have a ground to bring their strategies and tactics to perfection. But now since AstroTurf has come into being, I think they must be having about 20 in each place. So it's become a very popular sport.
Right. When you talk about AstroTurf, I mean, here in India, we really don't seem to have enough AstroTurf surfaces.
You're very hit. You had, yes, you put the hammer on the nail right.
I mean, how could we ever expect to improve if we don't actually give our players the facilities?
Correct. Because you see, we too in Bengal are facing the same thing. We have got an AstroTurf which is allotted to us, but it's a distance away, beyond the reach of the youngsters, you see. And AstroTurf is very attractive. Believe me, when you see AstroTurf, you will love to play on it. And it would be a real attraction for the children, especially, you see. But unfortunately, we haven't got as many astroturf as we should have for the common children to play on it. That is the trouble.
Right. So let me ask you something. You were a player, then you became a manager, finally you became a selector as well.
A selector.
Yeah, that's right. So as you went up this ladder, do you believe that you have contributed a great deal to hockey and the whole standard of the game in this country?
Well, I think I did not much, but too much.
Why do you say that?
Because I loved hockey and I loved to bring everything to perfection. In those days, we had individuals in our country who were brilliant. And if you took their good points and brought it to perfection, you molded yourself into one of the top class players of the country.
What is the way you think, in your experience, of actually getting young boys and girls to be interested in this very beautiful game, really?
Well, actually speaking, you see, what happens is that, like cricket and football and various other things, they've got a lot more to offer in sport. But hockey is practically dead where that is concerned, you see. Nowadays, even to be when you become a hockey player, you can't get a job. In our days, a sportsman was like graduating from a university. There was a thumb impression, you got it. But those days are gone, you see.
So that means probably what you're saying is that overall we aren't paying in our country that much of importance to certain sports, really.
Certain sports, you're very correct. And hockey has been neglected. It would not have come to this stage if the Indian Hockey Federation looked ahead and groomed hockey players for the future. No?
Right. You've just made a very, very important point, sir. And we'll come back and we'll actually talk about the situation of hockey and the way it's being played, the way it's being administered in our country.